Yeah. So, science. What science tells us about the physical world is true, is what the suggestion is. He says, and there are good reasons to doubt this. Reasons that align with the sober skeptics, and so now he's back to his sober skepticism. Which is what we want to be. Yes.
Yeah. Yes.
Stance towards matters intellectual. To put it differently, he says there are good reasons to doubt the connection between the truth of a scientific theory and its ability to work to accurately describe the observable world. Or to put it even more differently here, there are good reasons to be what he calls an instrumentalist. That is, to believe that theories need only be empirically adequate to be counted as successful. In other words, theories only need to be able to allow us to explain our observations, the physical observations, the phenomena that we see. That's empirical adequacy, and in order to be successful. Not that they need to be true.
Right. Yeah. So if a few episodes ago, half a dozen, we talked about the billiards ball striking. If we didn't know or didn't have any idea what might cause the ball to move away from the other ball once it struck, and you heard that snap, there might be a good reason to suggest that little gremlins are on the other side of the ball pushing it, and so that snap is them giving their 1, 2, 3, and so the instrumentalist would say, well, if that gets you to a useful statement of moving along.
Yeah, if it allows you to predict that the next time the ball hits, because you believe they're gremlins pushing it. Mm-hmm. Then we'll just say that's fine. Right. It allows us to have some predictive power with regard to that particular the gremlin theory.
Yeah, ball pushing. Yeah. Exactly.
Right. So he says we should be skeptical of what science says about those parts of the world that we cannot observe, because it's getting at the observation. In other words, it's making a guess, an inference based on what we do observe about the things that we can't observe. Mm-hmm. And that's just an inference, right? It's an inference from that, and they may or may not be true. Instrumentalism says that they don't need to be true as long as they work, right? As long as the theory works, that inference works, which is what he called a theory, right? It's then we're good, right? All right. So now what he's going to do in this chapter then is to kind of argue, it looks like here, for instrumentalism. Now again, what we need to make a distinction between the theory and a person, right? Theories are not instrumentalists, right? There is no such thing as an instrumental theory. Instrumentalism is a person's attitude toward the theory, right? In other words, here's the theory. So you can either believe the theory is true and is talking about real things, even though we can't see them and observe them, that really do exist. Right. We call that realism. Or we can say, here's the theory, and it works, and it allows us to predict and to explain, and we call that instrumentalism. And instrumentalism says we don't care. That's the attitude. We don't care whether or not it's true or the things that it's positing that exist are true. So this is an attitude toward theories. It's not the theory itself that we're looking at.
So like gravity. Gravity, Newton comes along and says, here's gravity. Well, Newton isn't quite sure what gravity is, but he can measure a universal constant of gravity and all that. And so is it a particle? Is it a wave? Is it a basic building block of the universe?
Is it some force?
Yeah, is it a product of spinning objects? I mean, that definitely was in contention there. And so the person who wants to say, well, what is gravity, has a different take on that question than the instrumentalist who says, what can gravity kind of do for me? Like, what
can the theory of gravity, positing that gravity, whatever it might be, exists, what can that do for me?
Let's take it like a particle and a wave. What do I get out of that? And so we've actually advanced that theory more. Yeah. But whether or not we're talking about truth versus kind of a utilitarian, is it useful? Those are two different things that, again, like you said, we want to make clear that the theory is kind of almost separate from the observer.
Yeah. All right, good.